Guys, today I'm going to show you the more detailed steps. Last week I showed you guys like almost a pre-made example of apple cider vinegar, but today I'm going to actually show you all the pieces together because I brought all the ingredients. So again, you want to get the organic, raw, unfiltered with the mother. You want to get that because that has the symbiotic cultures and the bacteria and yeast, natural yeast. It's a combination of all these things, and you need that to kick off your fermentation. Once you have that, after a month passes, then you can transfer from, like, this has been only in there a week, but pretend it's been there a month. Then you can transfer the mother to the additional jars. We're not going to do this because it's only been a week. So basically how you start is this: take this lid off. My recipe has 1 cup of sugar. Okay. Put some lukewarm water in here. That will also help to melt the sugar. I'm recording, so I only have one hand, so I'm going to mix that up here in a few minutes. And of course, your containers, you want to clean before you start. Okay, so I'm not sure how much volume the apple is going to take, so I'm just going to turn this off. And then we take our wooden spoon and try to dissolve as much of that as possible. You don't have to be perfect because the yeast and the bacteria and stuff, they will find the sugar. I mean, it's just easier for them to consume if it's been dissolved in water. But even if it wasn't, that will, trust me, it would dissolve and they will eventually get to it. Okay, looks pretty good. So far the steps have been 1 cup of water. This is a 1 gallon fermenting vessel. You can get them at a brew store, or sometimes you can find them at a thrift store. And 1 cup of sugar, just ordinary house sugar. Okay. These are the apples. You can use other fruits like pears, all kinds of different pears. You can use apples. I never mixed them, but I've made some apple one that was really good. Okay, so now we put our apples in here. Just fill them up. We're adding the sugars because it will help to kick off the fermentation, because it takes time for the apples to break down and the sugars from within to go outside to make it available to the whole process, or vice versa, things going inside the apple. It's just that takes more time. And just to kick off this whole thing and prevent bacteria, any type of bacteria taking over, you want to, that's another reason you want to start the fermentation as soon as possible and eliminate any delays. Okay, sorry guys, this is a little bit weird with one hand. Okay, let's finish filling this up. We want to leave some headspace for the reaction and the gases. Okay, so now this is the organic. You just take this and you shake it. The organics, if you look on the bottom, there'll be like a layer, sediment layer of all the things I talked about, the symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast and stuff. So you shake it up so that, oh crap. All right, one hand, that's what happens. A little bit spill. That's cool because I'm over the sink. All right, so I'm gonna add a good amount. Let's use this so we know how much we added. Okay, let's put half a cup. Let's see if that's kind of acceptable. Half a cup. Let's see if there's space. Okay, let's put the half a cup in there. All right, half a cup. That's all we had space for. It's fine. It's more than fine. And then all you do is just mix this all up. In the beginning, because the apples have a tendency to float, they'll absorb more water and kind of become more heavier later with time. But at the beginning, every day or two, you have to at least once a day come in here and kind of like give this a swirl, also for the purpose of not allowing any bacteria or infections to take place, because this usually will happen on the surface of the fruits that are not covered by the liquid. So let's put some more water in here. That's kind of like, should be fine, because if you guys look at this one's kind of all the way to the brim. So this is what I'm talking about. You guys, I'm not sure if you guys see that white stuff on the top. That's actually not that bad. That's just, it's probably good bacteria and yeast and stuff. So basically what you want to do is, like I said, you want to cover that up. You want to mix this up every couple of days until the mother and the acid from the fermentation really establishes itself, because it will buffer this entire fermentation and prevent infections, and it will also change like the pH and just whole thing, which will disallow bacteria to take shape. And as you smell it, it will start to smell like vinegar more and more. You know, at first not, because it's only been a week, but I think I'm gonna put some more, a little bit in there. All right, that one's to the top. So, okay, this is the other trick. You just put the lid on like this. Don't screw it on, because that would mean container pressure will eventually explode. Just put the lid like this. That's it. Just loose. Same thing here. And the lid, as the fermentation takes place, the byproduct, one of the byproducts is CO2 gas. So it will come to the top and will actually replace the oxygen that's in there initially, right? Because there's no fermentation yet. We'll replace that oxygen, and then the CO2 will actually protect this layer from infections. It's just like you can think of it like a gas protection layer. And because there'll be an active pressure zone here, slightly higher inside there than the outside, that will prevent anything from being sucked into the fermentation. Because your lid is plastic and solid surface, all the dust particles, the bad things that are floating in, that they are floating in here right now as I'm speaking, but they're going to collect on top of the surface. They're not going to go in there. A lot of the recipes and the methods are out there because people think this needs to breathe oxygen. Up to a certain point, you can open this up, once a day, give it a little bit. It's not really that factual. Only in the beginning, the yeast benefits a little bit of oxygen. Later on, just like in beer fermentation and any other, you don't want that in there. But you guys can see these apples were initially just like these, how they change color. So this is only 1 week. See how they start to become yellow? These apples are starting to become really saturated with the liquid. They're absorbing it all, and there's definitely a reaction here. If we look towards the top, I can't see any bubbles because the fermentation is very slow. That's why you want to keep this for about a month. And then you just do a test to see if you like the vinegar. You can have mild vinegar. That's another thing. Since you're fermenting, you are producing this and in full control. You can produce what kind of vinegar you want. The longer it ferments, the more stronger the vinegar is going to be. You can do mild vinegar, medium, really strong. It's up to you. That's about it. There's just a little bit of sugar, some mild water. So I live on a well. I'm in an artesian well, so my water doesn't have any treatment. There's no chemicals of any kind in there, so that's another thing to consider if you want it to be truly organic, or you can just treat the chemicals with filter or some kind of a treatment to remove those chemicals. But if you can get access to like good groundwater, that would, as long as it's a good source, not polluted, that would probably be better. That's about it.